Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, with my guest, Henry Mason. He's an amazing, amazing young man. He's going to introduce himself and tell you what he does. Take it away.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Henry Mason Jr. I'm actually a graduate of Morehouse College. I'm in Atlanta right now, and I started a home care and hospice company in 2014 in Atlanta. It's called Precious Hospice, Precious Healthcare. And from there, we've opened up two other locations, one in Chicago and one in Indiana. And like we were just talking about, I think the difference between, us and other companies and why I'm so passionate about it is because I was once a caregiver. And so once you kind of go through that process of seeing what that really entails, you can really tell someone like, hey, no, 1 or 2 visits a week might not be enough for you. I'm going to say, hey, I'm willing to say, I'm going to put people over profit, and this is going to help grow the business because you're going to tell someone else that you experienced this, and they're going to tell you about their experiences, and it's not going to be nowhere near the same. And they're all going to come calling me. And that's really has worked for, when I say it has worked for us, this 2015 and I have 3 locations and to be 32, I feel like that tells you like, yeah, it's working. And I tell people who want to get into business all the time, like, banks don't really back you like you think they would. Like, you're just going to the bank to get a loan or get a line of credit. It don't work like that. Like, you got to almost be successful before they want to help you. So you really got to kind of figure those things out. And when I went to Morehouse, I got a degree in finance. And I will say probably one of the better decisions I've ever made, because it allowed me to kind of understand business without getting a job in business, because we went through so many different types of case studies and different things. So when I got into the real world, I just implemented those same things into my business. So it wasn't, and I never had to have anything. So starting off, you're making $30,000, $50,000 a year. You might say, why would you do that? Because I had job offers for more, but I understood the bigger picture. So now obviously I make more, but at the time it was, me and, trying to figure it out. And I would say my apartment was smaller than this office, not the whole office. Like, it was smaller than this office right here. Like, you could barely fit a bed in there, but now it's nice. So it's cool.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what drove your journey to entrepreneurship in this particular field.
So I would say it started when I was about 15 or 16. So the field itself, you can kind of break that down however you want, right? And it's just about wherever your opportunity is, because I feel like entrepreneurs really follow opportunity. Like, I think people preach passion and purpose and all of that, but I think there's like, people are reluctant to say that a lot of it really is, if you're an entrepreneur and you find an opportunity or you find a space or a niche that you can go into, you'll learn that space, right? Yeah. So I don't have a clinical background or a healthcare background at all, but I learned this space. But I remember when I was 15, there was a guy from my church, and I promise you, he would come pick me up at 4:30 in the morning, and we would cut grass in the summer.
Wow.
And for a while, he would give us $50 a day to cut grass for 8 hours. And then one day, this man decided that he was only going to pay me $25 for up to 7 hours worth of work. And that, for me, I did it for about a week, and I saw the pay change, and that just wasn't going to work for me. And I went to, I'm serious, I think I went to a pawn shop or something, and I was like, wait a minute, if he's getting this much and he can afford to pay us seven or 8 guys to go cut grass, I'm probably better off getting a lawnmower, which I went and got a lawnmower from a pawn shop. And I just started going around the neighborhood. And I think my first Saturday, like, I started at like 6, just knocking on doors like, hey, can I cut your grass? Hey, can I cut your grass? Hey, can I cut your grass? I made about $600. That's in one Saturday, like in a few hours, more than I had ever made with him in 2 weeks, probably, right? So when I realized that, I said, oh, wait, there's something to this entrepreneurship portion that people don't tell you. And that how he's making money to pay us is just like something that I get why he would not explain it to you, because obviously that's his business model. But it just, because I felt like I was treated so unfairly, I just kind of went out there and started doing my own thing. And it worked. Like for a while, I was hiring my friend, like the neighborhood kids all worked for me. So I would go out different houses and knock on doors. I probably had in my peak 50 houses, easily 50 houses. And I don't think I was like, I didn't have a driver's license yet. Like yeah, because I remember talking to my mom once and she was out. We had never really talked about like money growing up. My mom was a teacher. So, you know, when that thing, you don't really talk about money in those households, right? It's just like, well, I don't have enough for this. But I remember I wanted something and she said, well, I don't have enough for it. And I'm like, well, I got it, it's fine. And I'll get you some too, right? And she didn't understand. That's when I told her, like, oh no, I cut 40 houses around here. Like, you didn't know? And she's like, what in the world? Like, what are you doing? I was like, oh no, just trying to make some money because I'm hungry and I want this stuff and I want these shoes like my friends got. And so I think that was really where, and it got to a point where I got ready to go to college and I'm like, what am I going to college for? Like, I've already figured something out. No, seriously, like, what am I going to college for? But I ended up going to Morehouse, studying finance. And when I left Morehouse 2010, the economy was crap. So everyone's like trying to figure out what they're going to do. I had 2 job offers. I won't say names of the companies, but they were decent job offers. One was in New York, finance, and one was in Atlanta for finance. One was a bank, and one was like retail finance, so like budgeting, analyzing, stuff like that, planning. I didn't want to do that. So I called my granddad and I talked to him about it. I said, I don't really want to get a job. I feel like I can go back to what I know and figure something out. And he said, well, yeah, if you figure out how to like cover your expenses, you can do this. Like, don't let anyone tell you can't do it. So I called a couple of my buddies. I was like, yo, y'all are trying to do something. I'm trying to do something. Let's get a 1-bedroom apartment and get a bed and a couch and a love seat from like Goodwill or something, and we can like figure it out. And so we did that, and we barely were able to pay like rent for like 3 years. And I can't explain it to you. All I can say is we were like doing it 2 years, 3 years. And I remember just like not paying my rent for like 3 months. I cannot remember this lady's name, but I promise you, if I see her right now, I owe her so much. She let me not pay my rent for like 3 months. And it just like happened. We happened to get paid for something called headhunting. So no cost to do headhunting. It's the like, you're a nurse, you get it, right? Like there's no cost in it. I literally would call companies, get on the phone, call other headhunting firms, get their contracts, revise their contracts, send that to the companies I was working with, get them to give us the contracts, post the positions on Craigslist, pay $25, and these companies would pay me $8,000 to $12,000 per person. So you're talking about I was probably 22 years old. And I remember having like -3. I don't know if you can still do it now. I don't know. But back then they would let you have -2,000, $3,000 in your account, which I don't know why they did that. So I did that. And then like one day I had gotten checks and had nowhere to put them because I hadn't even started the company yet.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I'm serious. I would never forget that. I would never. That's why I say if I can find that leasing agent, if anybody knows her, like tell her to come find me. Like I got something. Kept me from being homeless, like seriously. Right, so I did that. I still do that, but that company's in DC now. So we mostly do government recruiting and contracting up in DC. But in 2014, my mom was going through this bout with cancer, and so she had worked for another hospice before. And I didn't really know much about the business, but I know that watching her go through this and being her caregiver and trying to have a job and trying to run a business, it was a lot. Like,
oh yeah,
it was a lot. Like there would be, with her chemo treatments, it would be 12 hours where she felt fine and I'd be happy, and 12 hours where she'd be just throwing up on the floor. Not continuously, obviously, but there would be some that the nausea would be so bad. She'd be so nauseous, like she couldn't function, and medication didn't help. Like it just wasn't helping at all. Yeah. She couldn't get her food. So it was just very like to me, it was a traumatic experience because I had never, even if I had seen it, I would never expect to have seen it with my mother as a 25-year-old.
Right.
So I kind of went through that. And she told me, she said, hey, my job, they don't really care about me. They haven't been up here to check on me, and they're a hospice company. I said, yo, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start one of those. I got enough money saved. I'm going to start one. You know how to run it? She said, yeah. I said, don't worry. I'm going to learn. Teach me how to run it while she's on her chemo bed, right? This is before COVID. So this is way before COVID. So now you can't go see people when they go get chemo. But back then, I can go sit with her for 6 hours right beside her chair and just kind of sit there with her while she, watch Simpsons on her iPad or whatever she did. And so she taught me the business while she sat there doing chemo. And the rest was history. And we just set up Precious Hospice. And next thing I know, we focused on underserved communities. So obviously, I don't know, there's studies that were proven that 88% or 90% of hospice is all taken up by white America. And so no one really tapped into that community. So we went straight there. We went right to the Medicare patients and said, hey, look, we know why you don't want to be on hospice. It had nothing to do with you thinking people are going to die. It's you don't trust them, right? You don't trust the guy. You don't trust them. And I get it. There have been, they did tests on Black people, these different things. I get it, but you can trust me, right? And so let me be the conduit. Let me be the middleman between them and you, and a service that you're going to get, whether you use it or not. You've already paid for it because we all pay for Medicare and Medicaid while we work. And that marketing plan just worked. And that's the only way I can explain it, outside of maybe it was purpose, maybe it was like something divine, but it worked for me. And so we went from Atlanta to Chicago to Indiana. And I don't really know what's going to happen next. I just know it's a pandemic, and I just feel blessed to be able to do this as it is right now. But I do feel really blessed, and like, I enjoy it. Even, it's not always beautiful, but the idea of the business model is like amazing. And even though I'm not clinical, I've learned so much about the business side of healthcare and that's something I really want to share with other people too, because I don't think people really understand how crazy it is.
They don't.
Yeah, you get it. They have no idea.
They have because they think that everything they see on TV.
Yep.
They think they can watch what is this show that people love, Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. Yeah.
I'm like, do you people know that you will probably never see a doctor put an IV in?
literally never. Like literally never. Yeah. Like the nurses do everything. Your doctor just comes by and says, your nurse did a great job. Yeah, and basically take credit. I'm like, oh man, no. And that's why I love nurses so much. Like in hospice, we have our doctors, but they kind of oversee. Yeah. But the nurses are the ones with the bedside manner. They go talk to the patients, they talk to the families. They're the ones helping them with their medications. It's like, I love nursing. That's what I was telling you. I must
say, do such and such a thing. You're like, no, they don't even know this patient.
No idea. They have no idea.
They have no idea. I'm like, this patient is not going to do that.
Yeah. Yep. It's the craziest, and no one knows that. That's why it's just so interesting. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
like I love it.
Just the thought of being the age that you are, doing this and actually believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you, because I was looking at your stuff and it said, overcoming fear in order to grow a successful business that can truly make a difference in our communities. And that impacted me. And I wanted you to kind of share basically how you did that, because that is something that I liked and I love to showcase on my show, because it's all about following your intuition and, doing things that's changing the planet. So to me, that is an amazing feat, because so many people let fear stop them from doing the thing that they're being called to do. And just like you said, we talked earlier about people talking about passion and purpose and all this kind of stuff. And those things are important. However, you have to follow the destiny that God has set for you, because we don't always all know what destiny we have, and a lot of times it takes us years to find it. And sometimes, it's all in overcoming this fear. And so I want you to share a little bit about that, because that is like so big, because so many people have dreams and, stuff that they take to the grave with them.
Yeah.
Because they're scared to, get out there, or they allow those fears that come from the stories that they tell themselves. So how did you deal with that, and how did you get past that?
So I think mine was a little different. And the only reason why I say that was because remember, my mom was coming off of chemo,
Yeah.
and growing up, my mother was a teacher. So I think for me, it was a matter of creating a life for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times in our community, people don't really understand how that reality really is our reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a space where we're forced to kind of be the ones to figure that out, because my mom, she sacrificed everything as a teacher to get me to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about that, you're like, well, is that what she did? How can I, if I'm fearful of what I could become, I'm really doing every 20 years, her investment was a 20-year investment, is a disservice, right? It's almost like a slap in the face to my mom. And
Yes.
so yeah, for me it wasn't that difficult of a choice. And I also will say I failed so many times that it really, like, another failure wouldn't matter. Like, I remember leaving college and just start, when I say it was like 3 or 4 years before I really figured anything out. Like, I would make a little money, try to invest, try to build a business, it would fail. I might have failed like 10 times. Like, I remember I would never forget. I built the app and Black Enterprise called me to be on a panel, and I was like, are y'all nuts? Like, this app sucks. Like, no one even, like, maybe like 10,000 people were using it, but it was like they were interested in a Black guy building an app back in the day, right? It's just like, but it failed. Like, I ran out of money, I had to start over. And after a while, you just kind of get to a point where you're like, I mean, I grew up in a family, and my mom was a teacher, where it's okay to fail. And I think that is huge. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's huge. And I'm not sure where the disconnect is, where we make it seem like, oh, you have to do something that you're going to be successful in, because that, you've already taken the creativity out of the person. Because now they don't even know, like, if they feel like if they fail, they're a failure.
Yes.
When it's like, I failed 10 times before I was 25 years old, right? So when you tell somebody that, they're saying, well, how is that possible? Oh, no, I can show you how it's possible. I can show you these companies that I put this much money into, they all came out with negative balances at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fear part was really about what's my option,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I wanted to take care of my mom. I think that was super important to me. And I even now, I feel like I'm kind of behind the eight ball, because like I'm just now buying my mom a house like at 31, but I feel like I should have done it like pre-30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that's how I think though. Like, that's really how I think. I remember, and most guys, when they finally touch something, they buy a mom a Mercedes. I did that. Don't do that. Anybody listening, don't do that. Like, that is dumb. Don't do that. But I definitely did that too. Don't do that. But like, just those different things, and I think like seeing her proud of it made it so worth it. Like, it makes it so worth it. Like, even now when she talks to me like this love and this genuine appreciation that she has, and I'm telling her like, well, I mean, technically I'm only smarter because you're a teacher. So if you're living with a teacher, you're gonna be a little bit smarter than most people, right? Your vocabulary is gonna be a little more advanced than most people
But
your age.
totally.
Yeah, so little things like that. So yeah, but just overcoming fear, I just think you got to know why you're doing it, right? And it's like, once you understand why you're doing it, you can get through the hard parts. And some people, the hard parts last for a month or a year. Some people don't figure it out for 40, 50 years. I mean, the KFC guy didn't figure out he was 60, right?
Right.
Really? I think he was like 62 years old. Colonel Sanders figured out how to that KFC. So we don't know when. We just know that if we keep trying, in my opinion, eventually it will work for you.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree completely. And I tell people that all the time because ladies are like, oh, well, I'm already old. And, my kids are grown. And now I have grandkids, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, my mother is going back to school when she's 70. That's what
There
she
you
wants,
go.
And
There you
I'm
go.
like, you do what you want to do. I was like, that now, 40 is a new 30, 50 is a new 40 or whatever. But yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. And that is so key. And I'm just excited just to even have this conversation with you.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Oh, please.
You don't know. I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, because like I read through all your stuff, and I was like, man, this guy is just amazing. I'm so excited.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know what you read, I don't know what you found, but I appreciate it. Hopefully it sounded like it was good stuff. So I
It was
appreciate
good stuff. Your assistant sent it to me, and I was like, okay, this is what's up.
it.
And I was like, I'm kind of excited to talk to him.
And it's funny because people are trying to always, like, I want to get the story out more,
Hmm.
but it becomes difficult because you got to choose the right platforms. Like, and that's what I tell, Ray, her name is Ray. It's like, I want to choose the right platforms, like choose people who are interested in what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And that's particularly for me, is like, is their audience the underserved community? Like, we obviously don't serve people all over the world. Your podcast, your medium can go all over the world, but anybody that's out there can hear that.
Yes.
No, we're trying to reach you, and that you don't have to necessarily trust these types of people if you don't want to. I don't think it's a problem with it, but if you don't want to, and we know that to be true because we aren't taking the vaccine,
Yeah.
right? Like, we even have nurses who don't want to take it. We have, like, we've seen nurses, like, from hospitals and different things like that say they don't take the vaccine. It was like, it's really not an option, right? Like, it's not an option, right? So, but I get it. I understand it. I totally understand it. But at least they know that, you can kind of go out there and try your thing. Like, even with you doing your podcast, it's like, a podcast is tough, right? And you're coming up with 1,000 subscribers. Like, we need to give a hand clap for you. That's exciting. No, really, that's exciting. Because there's so many different podcasts. Like, there's so many different hospices, right? You're just trying to find your niche, and maybe it's the tiger in the background. Like, I don't know
I'm
what it
telling
is,
you,
but
right? I'm telling you, the thing is I think what excites me so much about your story is that you want to make a difference and you want
yeah,
to do it the right way.
yeah.
Because there are lots of hospices. I worked for hospices myself
Oh,
a
wow.
few times. I worked in the office and in the field. And so many of them, they're just after money over people and they don't seem to care about the people. And especially our people, we have to say it, the underserved community because they just have to profit and they don't, it used to bother me really bad
Sure. Yeah,
because I like to, people, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
the thing is there are so many companies that are doing what you're doing, but they're not doing what you're doing.
yeah.
That they're not taking care of not only the patients, but not the staff, because the thing is that if you have happy staff, then you're going to have happy patients.
100% of the time. I
And
don't know where the disconnect is, but that's like the most common sense statement I've ever heard that people overlook. And I don't know what the problem is, but it's very simple. If you have a nurse and she is happy, how
Mhm.
do you think she's going to treat her patients?
Exactly.
Right. So I'm with you there, right? And so, but I also understand, right? You have to stay in business,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you want to scale, and you want to scale fast, and you want to, these companies are not easy to start, right? You're talking $200,000, $300,000 roughly, for sometimes, for depending on the city, it could be $400,000 to start one.
Hmm.
So some of it is like they are chasing these profits, and it's like, for me, I think the real difference is, maybe it's because I'm younger, I don't know. I feel like I'm playing a marathon. Like, I'm not trying to run and beat you in this year. I'm not gonna do that. We're talking brand recognition. Can the name Precious get out there? We just started what we call the Precious Box. And what it is I see a lot of people giving to children, right? But who does anything for seniors? And I see all these commercials like, hey, for 50 cents a day, you can help a child eat. It's like, maybe we are helping a child eat. We don't really know, right?
Hmm.
But imagine a concept where you can actually give something to a senior that's tangible, and you can make their whole year. One item, we're giving them one box a month. It's a curated box, so many different things in there: blankets, shoes, t-shirts, jumper. It's like different things that make seniors happy. And it, from anonymous people, or you send one to your grandma. I mean, we launched it a month ago and we ran out, right? And it was just like, yeah, and it's called thepreciousbox.com. Just me being able to come up with different ideas like that. Like, that's also what I love about this business. Like, when you are the one that is a little bit younger, your ideas are going to be different.
Yes.
When you're willing to do it for little money, like in my paycheck is very small. When I say, I mean relative, right? To a CEO of a company with 3 locations, it's very small. So when you look at that, it's like I can take all that money and we can come up with new concepts. And we can come up with new ideas because I'm not even married. There's no rush for me to do anything. I'm not taking care of anybody now, right? So I think I've been able to do that, and my team understands that. And also because of that, I've been able to get people from very well-established companies, and they tell me what to do. They say, well, this is how they get into these hospitals. I'm like, they do what? This is how they get into these hospitals. You know, I'm in the underserved community too. Like some of the things I could never do, but we still are here. We're still fighting and we're still figuring it out and we're still expanding. So it's just, being in my purpose, like you said, and I love it. I can't stop smiling about it because I genuinely love taking care of seniors at home, like, or terminally ill, critically ill, like whatever the acuity is. Like it's just, I don't know why. And it's the other thing. I don't know why I like it so much. It just resonates with me, right? And it's just like I just do it. Yeah, I just love
And
it.
you light up and glow up every time you talk about it.
Yeah. I also drink a lot of water, so there's that.
Hey, and that's the purpose. It's like, doing what your destiny is. And
Yeah.
like you said, your destiny, you can find it at 25, you can find it at 30, 50, 40, whatever, 60, like a KFC guy.
Yeah.
So really it's like walking in your purpose. And that is like the most amazing thing. And for me, I love to see it because I actually help women to step out into their greatness because I believe that, whatever you've been through and all the things that happen in your life, make up the whole of you. So all the things that you went through and everything that, even challenges, even, things that work for you or whatever, it all encompasses your life. So it's all, for your destiny.
Men too, though, right? Like men experience trauma, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm from the South Side of Chicago, so people don't talk to me about it because I may not look like it, but no, I went to a public school in the South Side of Chicago. I've seen some things that I don't believe that. I'm like, no, I've seen some things.
Right.
I've got some friends I'll never see again, right? Like it's just things like that. It's like it, and I don't know if people truly understand how important that statement is that you made. Like everything that you've been through, like holistically makes up who you are.
Yes.
Your experiences, and it also more than this is a little off topic, but this is a reason why I don't get mad at people who have different views than I do. It's because their views are based on what they've experienced.
Yes.
And so we have to understand that and give them a different experience.
Yes.
Right. And so that's kind of where I'm like, I'm telling you, like, it's real. Like, these things are real. Like, I have friends from so many different cultures, different backgrounds, we support different presidential candidates. And it's when they tell me why, I'm like, that makes no sense. But because you had one experience with one person, that has shaped your entire way of thinking. Let's try to change it.
Yeah, that's powerful. You gotta be a coach.
Nah, I let the experts do it. You're an expert. You do it. And you just tell me, help me out. Why don't you help me? Yeah, no, I don't do it. I
All right. Well, we are going to close this interview, but before we go, I really want to thank you for joining me because it's been so fabulous, and I have had the most amazing time. And to be honest with you, I say that with almost every interview that I do because just like you are sharing with us, I'm learning and growing as well, and I love that. That is one of my favorite things about this platform. But this thing is going to be on Anchor and also on YouTube. So what I will do is I'll put it together for you, and then once I get it loaded, I'll send it to you.
I love to see it. I love to see it again. Like I appreciate you having me. Yeah. It's always a pleasure, and I wish you so much success. And I'm real big on energy, and I love your energy, and it's like it just makes me so happy. Like it's 7:30 now, it's 7:45 now. It's like I was tired, but I just got this boost. Like I want to go back to work because you just made me so excited. Yeah, so now anytime, let me know. I'll do it again for sure.
I appreciate that. No worries. So just let the people know how they can find you, like, your social media or your
Sure.
website and all that kind of stuff. And, how it is that you feel like you can help them.
Sure. So you can find me personally at Henry Mason Jr. So Henry Mason Jr. But precioushospice.com. And you can call the office anytime, 24/7, 470-878-5051. And we're in Georgia, Illinois, and Indiana. We do home care, hospice, and palliative care. So anyone that you know that is a senior or critically ill or terminally ill that wants care at home, we can take care of them. And the vast majority of what we do is no out-of-pocket costs. Like when I say it's literally no out-of-pocket costs, we try to figure it out with you. And we just kind of go in and kind of give you the care and support, and more importantly, the love that no one else is going to give you, because we look like you and we understand the underserved community.
That is so powerful. Oh my God, that is so powerful. It almost sounds like a commercial.
You know,
But it sounds like it's real and you can actually hear your passion.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hear that, honestly, you can, because I talk to people a lot and all the time, you can always feel, and just like you said, the energy, you can feel and know if people are being real with you, if people are authentic, and you are authentic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I really do.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And I've truly enjoyed this interaction.
Absolutely. Anytime. I look forward to it. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Same to you. And we're going to say bye now.
Bye.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Outta Savannah, Talking with Tammi.